we'll try it
so
again. No worries.
I'm talking to Kathryn Bond, who is an artist in Ontario. So most of her life, all of her life, I suppose, she's lived here. She paints beautiful, wonderful pictures of right these days of Georgian Bay near Parry Sound, and all the wildlife and the water and the clouds and the trees. It's wonderful stuff. Just it's a feast for the eyes when you see it. So, Kathy, tell me how did you get involved in doing this kind of work?
Well, thank you, by the way, Donata, for the introduction. I actually got involved through, well, I was always interested in art at a young age, and then I went to Sheridan College, and I took illustration there. So that sort of, started my career path. And I was thinking I was going into commercial work more so because I thought I'd get a more secure, job in the end. But I actually did a lot of more fine art work. But initially I did start out doing commercial work, a lot of brochures and, people's business cards and things like that.
Sure.
But, and it was good to start with because it gave me a good base and, but really I ended up painting murals for people, and that's where I kind of started fine art.
Sure. And so, and then, what were some of the first things you did? Were in people's houses and other kinds of murals,
it was.
Commercial murals or big ones?
Yes, it was actually. The first one was really large. It was like 40 feet long or so.
Wow.
And it was in a person's home beside a pool, an indoor pool actually. And the designer had seen my portfolio from Sheridan, and that's how I started getting into murals. And I painted mostly residential murals. I didn't do commercial, stuff outside buildings and that because I kind of wanted to stay small enough that I could just do it myself.
Sure.
So I made a lot of contacts and clients through doing that kind of work. And I worked, between Hamilton and Toronto, sort of, and I had a lot of clients that I still have today that buy my paintings as well. So it's been a really great career.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so then, of course, you've got some grown-up children. You've got a household to look after along the way.
Yeah, I do. We have two boys. They're both pretty creative, actually. One is actually going to York University for his master's in fine art. Yeah. So he's kind of taken my path, but and it was when I was painting murals for people, there was one family that were kind enough to they had 8 children, so they would let me bring one of the boys or both of them the odd time, when I was working, and
sure.
It was great because they would just go off together.
Yeah. Good. That's a great way.
Good. I could work my own hours too, which is great, but it's always a challenge when you got,
Well, it's no wonder your children, those boys have grown up creative. You take them along when you're doing your work like that. That gets them going.
It's funny because I find the son that's taking fine art now, he's very, his work is very experimental, and, he's trying lots of new things. He's not afraid of, to challenge himself that way, and I find I'm inspired by that from him because as I go on, I kind of, get set with something that you're comfortable doing, and I find that I'm trying to challenge myself now to do that as well.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, do you ever, I noticed the other one is a musician. Do you ever have music playing while you're painting?
I do. I listen to their music a lot. Actually, the boys, they're both in the same band, so yeah, they're both musicians as well as
cool.
So I do. I listen to a lot of CBC radio as well.
Way to go! How do you work? You go out and you paddle your kayak and take photographs? Yeah. Is that what you do, or how do you get the material?
I do. I feel like I should have been born in the Group of 7 era because I love to go out in my kayak and take some day trips, and I try and document as much as I can where I see a painting, a possible painting subject. So I usually take notes, I'll take photographs, I'll write down the light and how the composition and then I do like little watercolor sketches on site, and and then
just
I
like
take them
those
back.
guys in the old days used to do.
Yeah, that's right. I think I should have lived a long time ago.
Make sure you keep those; they become valuable. Those
Yes,
field
yes, I
sketches.
have them here still. Yeah, you're right. Some of them are nice too because they really do show the immediacy or whatever of the moment, right? You capture
Yes.
that almost more than you do
Yeah.
in the larger
That
pieces.
kind of gesture that you get just right there
Yeah,
in front of you. It's just it.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's right. That's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Do you
Yeah.
ever? What about winter times? Have you done?
I have done commission work for people on paintings in the winter. I don't think I have too much in Georgian Bay of that, but unfortunately, my site that you were probably looking at, that Tumblr site, doesn't have too much of my past paintings on it. It's mostly more recent stuff.
Yes.
But I'm hoping to set something up in the near future in a couple months. One of my sons is going to help me with that. So
That's really nice. Do you like mostly working with oils on canvas? Is that what you do most now?
Yeah, it's funny. I really never worked that much with oils, except for a couple of ones that you've seen on that on that Tumblr site. Most of the paintings I've done are either been mostly in acrylic, actually.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
but
what you like. Yep.
just trying to learn now how to do oils. But I'm enjoying it, actually. I find it a little bit tricky because you're so used to the quickness of the acrylic drying.
It's very different, yeah.
It really is.
And some people would say, for myself, and I'm an amateur compared to you, I would say it's kind of, oil has a kind of three-dimensionality about it.
Yes, it does.
Which comes out when you do layering and so on. But you have to spend a lot more time at it, as you say, because it takes so long to dry. That's it.
That's right. Yeah, and I'm just figuring that out. I mean, sometimes I'm not used to having more than one painting on the go, but with the oils, I started doing that because I was too impatient, and I'd start working on it when it wasn't quite, one of the layers wasn't dry.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes for you over time.
Yeah. I'm really enjoying. I'm doing this series right now called the Franklin Island series, and it's an area right near our cottage, and it's a beautiful island with a lot of little islands around it. And it's all government owned or federally owned island, so it's not inhabited by cottagers or anything. So it's a nice place to go and visit and set up my easel, and so I'm sort of doing a series of paintings in that area that I'm kind of just doing for myself, and hopefully I'll have a show of them.
That's nice.
Down the road.
That's great. That sounds wonderful. What about linen as opposed to canvas, or do you use linen? I don't. What do you use for your support?
I do. I've been experimenting with that. I've used wood as well, so I've used wood panels as well. But I prefer. I find the canvas. I'm quite happy with the canvas, really. But I'm not. I don't really have a favorite yet. I mean, I might, but right now I'm quite happy with the ones I've been working on the canvas. Way to go!
Do you? How's it going to change? Like, what do you move? What kind of direction do you feel like you're moving in?
Well, I'm hoping to simplify my work more. I'm trying to edit things out, and I think with a lot of artists that's a kind of a common problem. I think when you can kind of say more and put down less in some ways, I think it's sometimes more. At least that's what I'm kind of striving for. I want there to be something left to the person that's looking at the painting to kind of interpret.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so I'm trying to kind of get away from doing too much detail, and that's always a struggle for me. That's probably my biggest thing. But I like to, so I'm always sort of fighting that. But I do. I think that would be the thing, is just to kind of simplify things more, and maybe not to the form of total abstraction, but I'd like to kind of experiment with that a little bit.
That's wonderful. I've always sort of, for myself, when I'm thinking about this contrast between detail and abstraction, it's more like how much control, just as you mentioned, do you want to have over the art, over the viewers, what they see? Like, you know,
Right.
if a very large amount of detail doesn't leave much for their own
No,
imagination or
no.
interpretation, and yet it's beautiful and can
Yes,
set up a very nice environment for the person looking at it. But it does
that's right.
represent a certain, when you think, a certain more control in a way. Maybe you'd
I
like to
think
get away
so.
from that finally, and as you're saying,
Yeah,
and let
I
them
think you're
have some
right.
of it back. You know.
Yes, I think so. I think there's a more creativity in work that's sort of more interpreted, right? And maybe something that's so technically accurate.
Something, yeah.
And that's kind of my my goal is to get away from doing that, too much of that, and be a little
Sure.
more loose with my
Well,
brush strokes and things.
that's all fair enough.
Yeah.